we got some pretty unexpected news that Pascal Siakam, who we thought was coming back, like mid-November? I guess it's already November, but mid-November, like maybe late November, is coming back tomorrow. And it just so happens both of us are going to the game against the Brooklyn Nets, 3 o'clock in Toronto. So we're both super hyped. And the Raptors coming off of just a heartbreaking, disgusting loss that makes you just have a sick feeling in your stomach. Last night are going to be back at it tomorrow with Pascal Siakam in the lineup, and we're going to be there. So how hyped are you right now?
Man, it's going to be great to see his return, the love he's going to get from the city and how that's going to impact him and all that. And also we're seeing Kevin Durant return to Toronto since his Achilles injury. So it's going to be an interesting game. It's definitely going to be filled with emotions, and we're going to see probably who everyone has as the best player in the world right now in Kevin Durant go against probably the best rookie everyone has right now and his new team. So it's going to be a good moment, and it's always good to see, these young guys go against these like all-time greats in Kevin Durant and James Harden.
By the time people hear this, that game will probably already have happened. But with Siakam coming back, I guess we're going to have to see what the lineup looks like in that game. Do you think Barnes slides to the bench? Do you think Barnes slides to the 5 or OG goes to the 5, or just there's no positions and they just play Fred, Gary, and then the 3, 6, 8 guys?
I think Gary goes to the bench.
Really?
I think they're going to go Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Scottie Barnes, Pascal Siakam, Precious, and they're going to run a bench unit of Banton, Gary Trent Jr., Civ, and then probably Boucher, who gets very low minutes, and then Birch.
That's really interesting because I know you're not as big a fan of Gary Trent Jr. as some other people, but I don't think you can deny the how good or how improved his defense has been so far this season. Like you brought up the point, he plays hero ball, not just offensively, but he plays hero ball defensively too, because he goes for a lot of blocks and steals that sometimes don't pan out. But lately it has been panning out for him, and he's averaging 3.1 steals a game. I think he's in the top 100 of he's top 15 in fantasy right now, I think, just because of those steals. So
he won us a game through defense.
Yeah, exactly. He has been. Now he's taking a lot of questionable shots early in the shot clock and stuff like that. He's shooting under 40% from the field, but I do like his presence in that starting lineup and the energy he brings, especially defensively. I don't know how I feel about him going to the bench, to be honest. But then I don't like just not playing a center either.
Yeah, like we could see Precious' impact, Precious/Birch's impact already when they just like they can hit that little like 5 foot
that little push shot. Yeah,
that little push shot. They can just box out the guy. Not even like they're putting up crazy rebound numbers. It's just box out the guy and help reduce the offensive rebounds. And even on the offensive side, we've seen how impactful having 3 to 4, 6, 8 guys on the floor at once.
Yeah.
You were getting so many offensive rebounds, which literally won the game against the Celtics back in the beginning of the season. That's the only reason we won. Like we were literally, Al Horford had like 10 blocks, but we were getting every single offensive rebound, so we won, right? And we were shooting horribly, but it didn't matter. So I think keeping that size and length is just like mandatory. Like that's like kind of the Raptors' identity right now. And I don't really think Gary Trent going to the bench is going to really impact him as much as like people say. Because yes, he does play horribly off the bench. I know that. But he's not going to be on the bench by himself anymore. You know what I mean? Like Scottie Barnes or Fred VanVleet will be on there with him. So it'll be more talent there with him rather than just him go create, right?
Yeah, you're right. The length is what this team hangs their hat on. And even if he does move to the bench, like Khem Birch is the backup center, but when there's an important moment in the game, he's right. He's the best. He's the best big. He's the best center, and he's the one who closes the game. So like being on the bench doesn't really mean too much. And Nick Nurse will change, like depending on how the game's going. If Gary's hot, he will play him. So maybe it doesn't matter too much. But it's not like he's going to become less efficient offensively because he hasn't been too efficient to begin with. He's shooting 39.7% from the field. So we'll see. But he's been someone that I don't think enough people have been talking about defensively because he has been just playing harder than anyone I've ever seen defensively, really.
Yeah, and I think it's still going to be there. I really don't think. I think they talk to him. You know what I mean? Like they're going to explain it to him, and he always has been like an understanding player. He does what's best for the team. Having those years under experience with Dame and CJ, learning what sacrifice is. I know those teams, a lot of like fans get on them for, not having success and stuff, but that's more due to talent rather than like due to their personality. They're not like, it's not like we're saying like, oh man, if CJ sacrifices more, they're going to win a championship. No, they just don't have the talent to win a championship, right? Yeah. But they're like consummate professionals and they always do the right thing. And he's one of those guys too. He knows what's best for the team. He knows the like team's future, and he knows eventually he is going to be the starting shooting guard like for the future. He just got, wait some things here and there, and everything will clear itself out, and he will be the starting shooting guard.
Yeah, that's a good point. It seems like the level of buy-in on this team from 1 to 15 is just like super, super high. Like we hear Banton quotes from him saying like, I'm not going to like take my spot on this roster for granted. Like I'm still acting like I don't even deserve a spot. Like I'm just going to keep playing hard no matter what. The one thing, like the Raptors have been exceeding expectations, I think, for both of us to this point, but the half-court offense has been, as we expected, a little sluggish, a little hard to watch at times. That is going to be helped with Siakam coming back. Another guy who can attract a double team down low. Another guy who can hopefully hit an outside shot, at least a corner three. And just a guy who's going to, like, he's going to be able to get us some easy buckets in the half court, which have been pretty hard to come by at times for this team. So if the defensive energy can remain the same, and if we get, I don't know, like a little bit, 10% more efficient, 5% more efficient from the field in the half court, like this is a pretty good team. It's a pretty good team.
Maybe we could push up and avoid that play-in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, what I was saying is like with now Pascal Siakam has 2 other 20-point scorers that he can rely on. And he also has another 15 to 16, 18-point scorer in Barnes that he can rely on too. So he has so much pressure removed off him because these guys are just stepping up and becoming better. And he has another center alongside him now. So, hey, let's say that the center comes in, he could drop that little pass in and they could get that push shot in. So he knows that instead of like drop it in and Barnes, like Baines just missed it, right? So yeah, like it's going to be a lot better. And another thing is he's not, he doesn't have that shoulder thing bothering him. So his body's going to feel better. He didn't lose 15 pounds randomly, not randomly due to COVID midway through the season. So his conditioning is going to be better. His body's going to be better. He's going to have energy. He has less pressure and he has teammates who actually rely on. Like this is going to be his best year. Like it's just going to be simple as that.
And this is something you've brought up in the past. And honestly, like it's a real thing because they're showing highlights from last season. I'm like, there's literally no one in the stadium. Like there's just tarps over all the seats. Like how could you, especially a guy like him who feeds off the crowd, like you've always said, like where are you getting your motivation from? Like it's gonna be a night and day difference between just like his body language and everything, like with all the fans in the stadium back at Scotiabank for the first time since March of 2020, which is insane. We didn't record last week, so we didn't get a chance to talk about this, but OG Anunoby started out rough. So when the last time we talked, it was 2 or 3 games in, he was starting out a little rough. That's changed. He's been exactly what we hoped he would be, 20-point scorer, getting the ball, attracting double teams, making good passes, maintaining that defense. And he's been him and Fred VanVleet for the best player on the team. And it kind of varies on today, but and Barnes, it's insane to say, but he's been, ever since those first 3 games, it's been consistent 20, 25, 37. Was it that one game or 36?
36 against the New York Knicks.
Very high.
Yeah. And it's like a team, we're becoming like a team I compared us with before in the offseason was the Hornets. And we're just like them right now because Charlotte has LaMelo, that's their young guy, who gets everyone excited and gets everyone going. We Scottie Barnes. They have, a veteran who could do, a little bit of everything. In Gordon Hayward, we have OG Anunoby. And then they have Terry Rozier, someone who isn't inefficient, but is a team leader, gets the guys going, that's our Fred VanVleet. And then they have someone, I said what's going to take us over them is Pascal Siakam, but they just had Miles Bridges step up into kind of even a Pascal Siakam type role. He's now becoming, I don't think he's going to stay at this 25 points, but I'll be surprised if he scores under 20 points this season now. So, he's definitely stepped up into that role. And then we both lack, a true dominant big center. We kind of have center by committee. They have PJ Washington and Mason Plumlee. We have Birch and Achiuwa. I think ours are a little bit better, but you know what I mean? We're just like them, and they're always talked about being how this like fun, exciting team who made the play in and are going to improve and get better. And that's just the exact same position we are. We're kind of like the parallel from Canada. Like that's just who we are.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here so you never miss the best clips from Stretch the Floor. Hit the links in the description below to find us on all podcast platforms, and follow us on Instagram.